Well, hey guys, I'm Tony Lanks from the Red Dog Bushcraft. Thanks for joining me for another video. Hey, today here at the house, I'm processing a deer that Hunter and I were fortunate enough to be able to harvest the other day. And I'm going to can this deer, but I've ground it into burger. And I thought I'd bring you along with that. Seems like that pressure canning venison video that I did a year ago was a big hit. And we like the chunk type venison, but our preferred method of eating it around the house, or at least how we utilize it mostly, is through burger. So I thought I'd bring you along on this and show you exactly what I do. Now, during the butchering process of my venison, after I've let my deer hang, I take and cut it up into strips like this. And I cut the strips as large as I can that will fit in my grinder. Now, I just have the medium-sized grinder here from Bass Pro Shop, and it does a great job for us. Just make sure that you wash everything really good. Cleanliness during this process of canning is absolutely key. I recommend that you check out either your booklet that comes in your pressure canner or buy the book. I utilize the one that's from Ball, which is the jars that I use. They make a canning book, and they tell you about how to prepare your jars, how to do all of the preparations as far as cleanliness, the size of jars compared to the cooking times, in reference to the type of meat that you're canning. It's all full of great information, and anything that I've tried so far has not let me down. So once I have cut my meat into these strips, I grind it. Once that grind is complete, I then take that hamburger and I regrind it and I mix it 50-50 with beef hamburger. I try to find beef burger that's at least 20% fat, and I really like 22 to 24%. My end goal is to grind both that beef burger and the venison burger together, and that gives me a 10 to 12% fat content. And that's enough that you get some flavor. You have enough grease if you decide to freeze it and put it in a frying pan. After it thaws out, you can fry it up. You have enough grease to fry it, but not so much that it's oily that you have a lot that you have to pull off. And if you're making burgers out on the grill, it's enough that you get the good juicy hamburger, but not so much that it flames up and shrinks down so bad. So that's been a good blend for me, between 10 and 12% in the final mix. Now, once that is ground, I simply take one of these little funnels, and I like using the pint-sized jars. I have found that 1 pint holds a pound of burger, and that seems to be a nice portion for us. If we want more, I would prefer to open up more jars rather than can into quart jars, which is the norm, and wind up wasting a lot of my venison. I put a lot of time and work and financial expense into this, and I enjoy it, and I just assume not waste it. And that's the reason I do that. Now, to aid in the packing, I just took a long-handled teaspoon and bent it so that I can reach down there and pack that venison in there. And I take it up to the bottom of the, where the jar flares out here, the bottom of the rings. And then I'm going to add a half of a teaspoon of salt right on top, and I'm ready to continue my canning process. The salt's really not there as much as a preservative, I don't believe, as much as it is, it helps keep the color and the freshness, and it just adds to the flavor of the end product. With a beef and venison mix like this, I find that it's a real tasty mix. We like beef and we like venison, and the two just seem to really work well together. Now, the next step is I'll just put my lids on and get it in the pressure canner, and I'll bring you in a little bit closer so you can take a look at that. Okay, here in a pot of water I have all of my lids in a hot water bath, and I'm just going to grab one of those. Here, I'm going to move you over so you can see. And then I'm just going to transfer that lid over. Now, I've already wiped the tops of it. Well, I messed that one up. See where I scooped the salt in it? You don't want anything touching that at all. So I will take and wipe that back down again, because you want to make sure that these tops are clean. And once again, if you go to that Ball canning book, it will show you all of this and describe to you exactly how to do this. Now the next thing that I want to do is grab one of my rings, and I'm going to take a lid and I'm going to set it down right on top of the jar. Now these tops have been in a water bath to where the water was brought up to a boil, then cut down to a simmer, and those were put in, and that just helps that gasket start to seal. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick those up and I'm going to place them in my canner per the instructions of my canner, and I will cook that for the recommended time with the recommended pressure cap. I'll bring you back when we're done. I'll show you the end product. Okay, so once you have timed out your timer and it's time to take your jars out, you take them out. I like to place them on a tiled surface, a couple of towels thick, so that you don't hurt your countertops, and then just let them sit. You'll notice that they'll continue to bubble and they'll pop and they'll seal. And you know that they're sealed good because as you push on the tops, there's no flex in them. You can hear them popping as soon as you start to take them out. Alright guys, we're back and we have finished canning the last batch. Yes, it's fairly later on. I've changed clothes. But this is what it looks like once it's cooled down. You can see where the fat has gone to the top. Now don't be concerned, this is not fat all the way through. This is just a layer of fat that settles around the top, and it'll just be ever so thick. It won't cover the complete top. Now this is what I want to show you. After I cut this thing off and I've let it set, this stuff is still cooking. So you need to be very careful when you take it out. Set it on a surface somewhere where it's not going to burn up your countertops. Leave it inside the canner if you want to, but we were processing a lot, so I was trying to rotate it through. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. I'll see you next time. And until then, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. God bless.